one after another. Back-to-back action, kicking things off with the youngest superstars. It will not happen on the first try by, so we will have to send them around again and take a look at it. It does give us a moment, of course, to bring you up to speed with the proper look at the starting lineup. How about the weekend so far for Marcelo Flores on that J. Howard Driver Development, Kart Republic, and Lennox Lockhart as well. Alex, Heat 3 yesterday really took the lineup and threw it in a blender. Leo Simone dominated. He's back on row 4.
Yeah, back there we got the likes of Hudson Howard, Slate Harrell there, row number 2, Andrew Anastasio, Alvaro Medeiros, row number 3, Leo Simone, Bernardo Goubert, a driver that has got involved in at least one incident yesterday in those 3 heat races. He's a driver that's super quick here around Daytona. Dutch Westbrook has had some great heat races to put himself inside of row number 5 alongside Liani Schiavo. The rest of the grid goes through much slower than last time here for Marcelo Flores. Hopefully with the green this time around. Lights out. Green flag is waving here. It's a good start for Marcelo. Blows the apex there. Turn number 1. A couple around. Collecting, I believe, Bernardo Goubert and a couple of the Sodis.
Oh, it's a big stack up. There's a ton of them stacked in turn number 1. That is going to be at least Dominic Nagel there in the Bennett. Was easy to pick out of the 52. Probably a good amount of your top contenders. Who got away clean? Your top qualifier there just flurried by. That's Alvaro Medeiros in the number 15 Orsolone entry. So he got away good. Obviously, Marcelo did as well. But a chaotic start once again plagues the micros, just as we saw with them yesterday afternoon. And looks like Hudson Howard got away safe. I believe Lennox Lockhart did. The first couple are safely through the start. And so down to turn number 1 we go. Lockhart into 3rd, dropping down the board. Andrew Anastasio, one of the many involved. Bernardo Goubert, Liani Schiavo collected there in turn number 1 as they fall down the leaderboard. Logan Arteta was the Sodi that was collected. And we may have had Grayson Knifick, I think, in that as well. So a huge bummer for a ton of the young guns trying to race their way through turn number 1. A heartbreaker for sure as we watch them work their way down the back straightaway.
Something that I'm noticing here, I mean, I know I was at the scale line most of this morning doing the morning show, so getting a chance to really visually see the go-karts roll around this place. It's a little bit slicker than it was yesterday. Seeing Leo Simone get way all sorts of out of shape through the braking zone of turn number 1. And naturally, when you have a 22-lap main, you're going to set the tire pressures lower, so it's going to be a little bit slicker as Jack Katowski there tries to make a move on George Ho. Couldn't make it stick through turn number 4, but definitely a slicker racetrack. I know some of the drivers are saying it's a little bit, slicker out there. This track builds up dew in the morning. I know it was really humid this morning, and so these drivers are really the first to go out there and rip 22 laps around this place, and they're a little bit more active on the wheel, I'd say, than I saw them yesterday.
Down the backstretch, our first lead change on the day is going to get a bit hairy there in that last corner. Hudson Howard
Look at the
saw
dirt.
Lennox Lockhart going by, and then he got put, I don't even know if he dropped a tire, Alex, but it was so dusty at corner exit all out in the marbles where he was.
Yeah, because it's so windy. It's a headwind onto 11, and what that does is also push the dirt on the exit of 11 onto the racetrack, and I think some of the X30 Senior guys were using more racetrack than that's provided to them by the tarmac. So, again, super dusty. We talked about it all day yesterday. A couple of corners, just like the exit of 11, provide that sort of difficulty for these drivers. And now Lennox Lockhart, a driver that saw the lead for the first time in heat number 3 yesterday and walked away with it, he's looking to do more of the same. And we can't fail to mention Lockhart versus Flores. These have been the 2 headline drivers, no matter how it all shapes out, that have led the field in each of the mains so far this year in this class when it comes down to it. We can't forget, Lennox led all of the first round of SKUSA Winter Series. Marcelo got the better of him on the final lap. These two actually got together, unfortunately, in round 4 of the SKUSA Winter Series. So, again, it's all love for these two. They're all friends off the racetrack, but Lennox would love to put one on the JHTD driver.
And it would also be, of course, his first major win. That would be huge for his confidence, right, Alex? I mean, this kid's come along so well, and now we're basically 1 year removed from his national debut. Leading laps once again. He could very easily be one of the kids we're talking about this year. I want to also throw in that mix, though, Slate Harrell in the number 88. The Nitro Kart leading this 3-pack here, back in 3rd, has spent more weekends than not running as an independent, a father-son duo to my knowledge. Slate's been fast this week. However, all 3 of them cannot seem to really kind of get in sync. Last time by, they lost about 2/10 to Marcelo and Lennox. And you can see it's not for a lack of trying. Leo Simone is all over the number 88. He just can't seem to time the run, I think, to get to the bumper well. He kind of got into him and almost knocked him loose there back in turn 1.
Well, that's what I've been touching on, right, with the setups. I mean, especially with these smaller chassis, smaller classes, low horsepower, it's really tough to get the gearing right. And sometimes we always joke around. I know when I coach a lot of the young kids, you know, how was the go-kart? Oh, it was good. And then you watch it, and it's like, no, you're actually struggling out of the corners, bud. And so for the mechanics, it's a lot of work to really see what they need. As Hudson Howard's going to go through on Leo Simone, he kind of almost opened the door and let him by. I don't think he meant to do that, but again, open up for turn number 1. It's been a strong weekend for JHDD. I mean, we got a second, a fourth, and a fifth right now, and I think at this point, Leo couldn't get by on Slate, like you mentioned. Hudson said, you know what, let me give it a shot. I think I got more straightaway speed here, and you see him give the point to Marcelo saying, I'm going to try to go through here soon.
Let's take a look at some of the big movers so far. How about up 10 spots for a big morning wake-up call for Jack Katowski on that Trinity Karting Group Beryl Art back in 9th. Brody Stoffel on the JHDD Kart Republic also up 6 to get to 10th there as they trade the 3rd spot with Hudson going by on Slate Harrell. And a few more movers a little bit further back, all up a good amount. How about Brody Brown from tail end of the field there from 24th to 10th, up 11 for Max Santana. Well, 10 now as Franco Schiavo gets around him. Again, the big mover of our major contenders up front from 19th still, Jack Katowski with more that he could get, at least one more in the form of George Ho. I don't know if he'll be able to get a ton more, but here he goes on the number 5. And that'll be 11 spots gained for Jack Katowski and Trinity Karting Group.
Here's where this race gets really fun. Flores at this stage slightly faster than Lockhart. It's what we've come to expect to see, right? The driver in second, faster than the driver in front. Can they get around him? Further back, you look at 7th place. Dutch Westbrook, purple last time by. No one faster than him as we got a battle for 4th there. Simone around Slate Harrell, but Dutch Westbrook up to 6th. Lost some ground that lap, making the pass on Alvaro Medeiros. But Dutch had a rough qualifying. He had a really bad happy hour, actually, knocking the front left toe out. Had to start qualifying towards the tail end, had to drive his way through qualifying, and anytime you make a pass around this place, you don't qualify very well. Worked his way through the 3 heats methodically, put himself in the top 10 starting spot for the final, and the pace is there for the Bennick. And I gotta say, Harrell and Simone are cashing that lead group. If this becomes a 5-kart train for the lead, and they start fighting, that driver right there who's starting to close in, Dutch Westbrook in the 33 is coming.
Yeah, Dutch Westbrook was purple up until that previous lap, and he was only beaten by a couple hundredths, and that was by Hudson Howard, who knocked off 3/10 of the lead and now has joined that main group. But answering right back, another major lap time out of Dutch Westbrook, and more impressively for Dutch to be running those laps, Alex, than Hudson, because Hudson's got that massive slipstream off the 2 leaders. Dutch is all by himself. No man's land right now for the DFW Texas-based driver, and he is marching. 2.6 seconds back last time by. It is just a matter of time, and not an if, but a when. That number 33, blue and orange, arrives on the scene. We've got already 5 in the main group here. I think we could have 6, and it could end up being more as we trade the 4th spot again down in turn 1.
Well, if you want to wonder how long these main events are, the heats yesterday were 12 laps. There's 12 laps to go in this main event. So basically, these drivers got to do another heat race as Lockhart goes wide in 5. Look for the setup here from Marcelo Flores. Hudson Howard looking over his shoulder. At this point, that 49 machine, I think, is the quickest of the top 3. As we've come to expect, though, one thing's catching, another thing is passing. And at some point, I wonder if you're Flores, and I wonder how far advanced these kids start to think ahead in these races. Do you let Hudson Howard go? Do you let him try to chase after Lennox? Or if you're Marcelo, do you kind of say, no, I've been the one that's fastest all weekend long. I want to take the charge to Lennox Lockhart here. Opening up for turn number 1. Slightly tighter line there for Lennox. I think he's starting to realize that these 2 JHDs are a little bit faster than that Sodi at this stage in the race.
I think even Dutch Westbrook may be only one of many to catch this group here with the way that every lap keeps looking. Lennox Lockhart, Hudson Howard, Marcelo Flores, they're going to trade that lead down there in the back sector. I think just as much, though, lappers going off that close. Again, that's lap traffic that just went by. Then that 5-pack is the leaders. So we are seeing quite a bit of Clag getting kind of put back on the line, and the leaders have to then clear a path. And so if you're 3rd, 4th, 5th, or especially if you're 6th and 7th, and you've got the ability to go as deep as you want to into the corner, with the 5 cars in front of you kind of, you know, making a clean racing line, you can go really fast. And Alvaro Medeiros has been going good enough to make up some ground.
Yeah, Dutch dropped it at the exit of turn number 10 and lost that spot to Alvaro.
Yeah. And now he's got to go back to work, so maybe, again, it wasn't a clear enough path, but this will widen that group a little bit. 2 by 2 through the bus stop to shake everything up for that main pack. So Marcelo is going to get the biggest lead of the day with another move there in the final corner. Hudson Howard into second. What's the delta going to be with 13 down? It'll be 6/10 to run back up. Still manageable, and yellow flags waving as another driver's gone off in front of the leaders.
So now if you're Lennox, do you push Hudson Howard back to his teammate Marcelo, or do you go around him here at this point?
I don't think you got a choice, right? You got to go with him.
Yeah, and further back, we have Leo Simone, who I think he shot out of the race pretty quick, and then since then has just fallen back. Slate Harrell's been a little bit quicker than him at this point, and you mentioned it. While Leo might want to get around Slate and catch his buddy, Lennox Lockhart, they both are down there in Miami, Florida. I think he has no choice but to push Slate as well, but up front, it's starting to fan out. We're starting to see some daylight in between those front bumpers for the first time in 14 laps. So now Flores has a bit of breathing room. Lennox closes up to Hudson Howard right at the end of the straightaway. That kind of tells me that the gearing is a little bit taller for that Sodi. That's something to note for later on in this race if we start seeing moves at the end of the straights.
Looking at the gap back from that Sodi too. Leo Simone in the 95, about as hot and cold as you can go. Last time by a 43.606. Alex, that was 0.8 off his previous best time. Obviously, Slate Harrell and him had gotten side by side. It was a mistake for Slate as well. We've heard from even the best drivers here, the pros, talking about how difficult this racetrack is, how easy it is to slip up, how you've got to drive so far under the limit to make it around this place. It's no surprise at all that with a damp kind of morning and with a dirty racetrack that everybody all the way to the front of the pack in Micro Swift are struggling to put consistent lap times together because the surface is changing pretty much like a wet race, and now Marcelo Flores is just dancing with disaster. He was sideways through turn 1. He was sideways and kicking up dirt through turn 3. He'll have to clean the tires off for the rest of this lap, and it's going to allow these two on screen, Lennox Lockhart and Hudson Howard, to get a huge gap back to third.
Well, with the looming weather that we have and the wind overnight, this track got a lot of dew on it overnight, and so if you look at the racetrack, it's got just one big shine on it. We're finally getting that racing line back from what we saw throughout the weekend. I mean, lap time wise, it's not far off from the heats and the qualifying, but it looks like it's just slicker out there for these young kids.
Yeah, I think that's going to be probably even more critical for them than who they work with or what moves they make at what time right now. It's just a matter of not being the one to make a mistake. And in that case, it almost pays off to be the second or third driver in line in the lead group because you're not the one flying blind into the break zone. Hudson Howard, he's in a guessing game every lap, trying to make sure that he looks far enough ahead and can pick up any slight differences in color or texture of the surface before he gets there. So in racing, all these kids are trained to look ahead, to look into the corner, look before where you're going to go, not where you're at currently, so you can anticipate it and prepare for it. And I think right now that's being put to the test. Kudos to Hudson Howard. Chip off the old block right now with about 5 laps to go. He has not yet wavered or shown any bit of weakness here to Lockhart or the rest of the drivers trying to hunt them back down here as we follow along his teammates in Flores and Simone back in 3rd and 4th.
Let's see what the approach is now for Lockhart because with 4 to go, as much as maybe you want to pass and maybe you are quicker, right now it looks like Hudson Howard is good enough onto the back straightaway so he doesn't have to worry about Lennox making a move, but you want to make this as small of a race for you as possible. So if you're Lockhart, you want to push Hudson Howard away, even though it's not your teammate, because those two behind him, Flores and Simone, we know how fast they are around this place. You don't want to give them a chance to go out there and catch you as Dutch Westbrook basically opens up the corner and invites Brody Stoffel right on by.
And Brody Stoffel, I could have sworn was one of the drivers involved in that turn 1 incident also. The number 29 is marching back towards the front of the field. He started deep, so he's showing as he was gridded 16th, but I think he even got kind of held up in the first turn, and that impeded the progress. Kudos to him here. He has been extremely fast the last few laps. He's driven his way well inside the top 10. He's probably a bit far to reach that red and black nitro card as Slate Harrell before this one's done, but a good drive here for Brody Stoffel. And his teammate, well, his teammates up front right now are getting ready to battle for the win and that final spot on the podium. Pairs of two here, Alex. 2.5 laps remain. Hudson Howard trying to get another national win and build on his momentum through this Florida stretch. Lennox Lockhart looking for his first national win here at Daytona. Both of them, I think it would be the first time either one maybe has raced on this surface, and not only that, the first time that they could win here. Let's see it.
Rounding turn number 11, we're going to see 2 laps to go for these young kids. I've been trying to see where Lennox can go out there and make a move, and it's not there. You don't want to drop a tire exiting 11, especially with 2 to go. And so for Lennox Lockhart, he's going to have to get back to work, get the dust off those tires, and really put your head forward. Hudson's going to help him out here, though. Went slightly low entering 4, open up the corner. What that does is, though, it shortens the radius. It ruined his exit. Lennox back on the bumper now.
And he did the same in turn 1. You saw Lennox be able to get a little bit of a narrower exit, but that's because he had such a nice arc going into turn 1 also. But through the bus stop here, there's no passing really opportunity, especially now with how fast that section is. And even with the dew, even with it all, that section still looks like it's got a lot of grip. But the brake zones and the last turn are a little bit sketchy. Lennox, did he get it done and stay on the track? He did. Hudson Howard behind. Red flag in the air. And that will call it a lap prior, as we've got a driver that has gone up and over right in front of your leaders here out of turn number, it looks to be the 46. One of the Chavo twins, I believe that'd be Franco Chavo, and Lennox Lockhart. Right as he made the move for the race win, it will go back 1 lap prior. And if it does end this way, which I would imagine that it will, knowing all the conditions, it would go back to the end of lap number 20 with Hudson Howard on top of the board. A heartbreak end. First, though, we want to make sure that we do have Franco Chavo an update on him. We're going to stay quiet on comms here for you all and give you updates as we receive them. But I believe that looked to be the 46. I'm going to wait for confirmation. That just was a quick check on our end from that overturned go-kart out of turns 2 and 3. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. We'll be right back. Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this branding business, okay? Branding this, branding that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats. They got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
To the finish line. Who is it going to be? And it's Perez who wins in Crescent.
Ty Fisher wins $1,000 in KA100 Jr.
Alex Stanfield played it perfectly here. Told him to wait. Stanfield wins the Duffy in 2024 for TV Kart.
Amarillo Kart Complex is now the official distributor for TV Kart in the continental U.S. Become a dealer today.
Ready to elevate your racing game? Introducing Apex, your 24/7 personal karting coach. Apex is your ultimate racing companion, Get expert advice anytime, anywhere. From setup tips to mental strategies, Apex has you covered. Fine-tune your car for peak performance. Get personalized advice on adjustments like tire pressure and chassis settings. Apex helps you master the track, from overtaking strategies to wet weather driving techniques, and to resilience to perform under pressure. Apex keeps you focused, confident, and race ready.
Using Apex is simple. Sign up, ask your question, and receive instant advice from top-tier coaches. With Apex, your personal karting coach, you're never alone. Get instant expert advice on everything from setup to technique. Unlock your full potential with Apex. Your journey to victory starts here. Happy racing.
Back here as we've got the drivers into pit lane for the Micro Swift division, and it looks like that's going to call it. So that'll put us back to one lap prior from when we were coming to the line. The last lap with all drivers completed. So Hudson Howard has been announced as your provisional race winner. And, well, Caleb is down here in the scales. We can see Hudson's got his helmet off. Caleb, down to you.
Hudson, a wild last lap, but you're a race winner again on the national scene. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. You know, I think that red flag saved me, but, you know, all credit to Lennox, me, and help. So, you know, I got lucky, but we'll take a win no matter what.
Who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank my dad, my mom, my whole family, KA, my engineer, for giving me and I would like to thank Wilcher for giving me one of the best engines I've ever had.
There you go. Congrats. There's Hudson Howard, your race winner here, the first race winner at the Daytona Super GP. Back to you, Xander.
Thank you, Caleb. As we can see here down on the grid, there is going to be a little quick powwow from the USPKS officials before the KA Juniors get underway. There's a lot of them, and they are indeed checking out Franco Schiavo. We'll have an update when we can get it, but congratulations to Hudson Howard, and thanks to Caleb for keeping us informed down at the scale area with that race called 2 laps early. So KA Junior, looks like a quick meeting here of the minds before they roll off. Here we go. It's a lot of them. KA100 Jr. presented by BBS Race Engines. On to the racetrack. Let's take you through how they will line up for their main event. Kicking things off, Teo Salamao and the Orsalone Racing Tony Kart's going to lead us to green alongside Isaac Malcutt, the two drivers who have probably been, I would say, the strongest through the heat races here on row number one, but definitely some others that have flexed some muscles right behind them, like Travis Pettit and newly signed Nash Motorsports entry here, Nathan Dupuis.
Yeah, further back, you have the RPG entry of Brady Shad, who had an up and down set of heat races there. I know he lost a nose cone in one of them. Luis Fernandez on the outside of row number 3. Darren Kidd, Tristan Murphy, row 4. Back to the Energy Corsa Americas driver Edward Kennedy, who was top 3 throughout the warm-up this morning. Julian Rivera on the Orsalon outside of row 5.
Let's quickly flicker back because there'll be a lot of them for us to show you here to the next page of them all here. We've got your first 10 rows on screen. Here comes your last few on by. Oh, my mistake. I went a little bit too far. All the way down to the final row there with Jeremiah Thomas and Talon Laney. We'll have them all, though, for you here lined up and ready. And to be honest, we only had so much time because they're ready to go right now. Check it out. Teo Salamao, Ike Malcutt looking for green. No green on the first time by. So we're 0 for 2 on first starts there.
It gives us a chance to talk about a couple more headline names that are starting further back. You get the likes of Caleb Tarter, Nico Kukowski, and I want to say Alexander Vanchev, rolling off on the inside of row number 9 at 17th. Remember, one of those heat races did not go according to plan for Vanchev, but he's a driver that was going after it with Teo Salamao all day yesterday, no matter what class it was, KA or X30. Here's the groups that we didn't get a chance to see when we rolled on through, but a lot of strong names all throughout this KA Junior field. 48 drivers seeing the green at once. It was 24 per group. We decided to go Ready Racing. We're going all of them on the racetrack. The first time we've seen them all on the same track together. So some of these drivers maybe haven't seen each other for more than 1 or 2 sessions on Saturday. They're going to see them today. This time the lights out and we're green. Salamao inside. Pettit's going to go maybe to P2. Shad's going to try to push him through as well. One driver spun into the grass on the inside of T1.
Oh, we got more off in turn number 3. Yeah, Brady Shad's off and way wide for Darren Kidd, it looked like. The Mike Doty Racing Machine dirt tracking it, and that's given a massive lead to Teo Salamao here halfway through lap number 1.
Shades of the heat races yesterday where the drivers behind him basically gave Teo a big head start here, and more drivers spun further back on the entry of turn number 5. But let's see now, because throughout the heat races, Salamao hasn't had a whole lot of drivers to worry about behind him because of how strong he's been on this 100cc package. If you're Malcutt, if you're Pettit, you don't really have a choice, right? You have to work together because if you fight, you're going to give Theo a monster lead. It's already 1.5 seconds after 1 lap. Nate Dogg sits there in 4th. Luis Fernandez, a really good start into the top 5. Same to Murphy and Kennedy. And Kennedy giving the signal to Murphy, I'm not going to pass you. I'm going to work with you. And sometimes, usually drivers are lying when they say that. But I think if you're Tristan Murphy, you kind of have to listen over this point.
So many laps in this one. I got to correct myself here. The full-size divisions will actually run 22 versus the, or will run 25. Only Minnie and Michael will run the shorter 22. So a lengthy main on deck here. But this group is going to watch this race be over in a minute if they do not keep themselves in order and try to go to work to hunt down Teo Salamao. 1.6 seconds basically back to Isaac Malcutt in the Mike Doty Racing LN Kart. He's got help. Travis Pettit's there. Again, Nathan Dupuis is there, but still, knowing how everybody is in the first few laps and knowing how easy it is to make mistakes here, they got to give Ike at least a little leeway to lead them forward, or if they start battling too much right now, they could quickly just hand the race over. Here's Edward Kennedy making one move. That was the only one we really saw out of that main pack, so they are trying to stay somewhat together for now, but they're still losing time. That was another 10.5 going the way of Salamao.
And this second group is working together, so Salamao is just able to flex his muscles a little bit on the opening stages of this race. This is the tricky part though, right? They have not done 25 laps all weekend around this place. The most they've done is 12. So double the laps for these drivers. It's a totally new approach to this track, and it's pretty easy to get tire pressures wrong, get set up wrong, and no matter how much you learned yesterday, the warm-up this morning from the drivers that I spoke to, it's a lot different. It's a lot slicker. It looks a lot greasier, and so for Theo right now, it looks pretty strong, and I gotta say, visually, I think he's still pulling away again. 2 seconds. Now the gap to Malquit, Pettit, and Dupuis, and at some point, we know drivers in this KA Junior field say, you know what, the lead is gone, my race is over for the win, let's have fun for second. We're on our screen right now, Alexander Vanchev. He was the driver that really was able to take the fight the most. Theo Salamao had a rough final heat. He had to roll off 17th as one kart stuffs itself into the barriers. The 872 of Arthur Barbie there, down there in the 40s. I think that was partly due to the impact he had. Good to see him standing up and out of his go-kart. But what I was getting at is with Vanchev, rolled off 17th, up to 8th, and on the bumper of Julian Rivera already. His charge forward continues. Unfortunately for Vanchev, as the rest of the field isn't as fast as him, so his chances of catching up to Theo is pretty low.
Yeah, he's so in the middle of the pack. I mean, even if, right, like he was able to get through, he'd need to be probably 3 or 4 tenths better than Salamao. But never say never, right? We saw how dirty the track was for the micros. We saw how many mistakes were made. And we also saw lap traffic play a factor that just they couldn't get out of the way quick enough when the leaders got around to them. Salamao's obviously not going to have to deal with that yet. But when you've got 47 karts on this racetrack, granted, we're down 1 with Arthur Barb going out, but still 46 in total. That's a lot of go-karts.
A lot of go-karts. Vanchev has made it look pretty easy so far. He's now putting Julian Rivera under fire as Nate Dogg goes through on Travis Pettit, pushing Pettit wide, and now here comes Lex and Luis for Nunez, trying to clear the TV kart machine as well. So if you're Nate Dupuis at this point, that gap to the lead is extending. As we get a replay here of the start, as we saw a couple karts go around, it was a pretty good start for the top 10, top 15 rows. This is where it all got chaotic. One kart further back spun around. Overall, pretty clean. I saw Vanchev there take advantage of some of the drivers going off the racetrack, entering turn 4, and then a couple really looped it around. This is the chaos that we didn't see on our screen, Xander, and I think this really opened the floodgates for Vanchev to go out there, and that's why he was able to make up so many spots so soon.
Great angle there by our ShopAKR.com replay production crew to show you why we've gotten the gap that we have and why we've shaken the field the way that we have. This is going to be the first change for second that we've seen all race. Nathan Dupuis by on Isaac Malcutt as we've got another one off. This is at the exit of turn number 1. The 879 has stalled it, and that is going to be another driver around the middle of the pack, it looks like.
Yeah, that was Felix Catch down there in 29th position. And again, looks like that go-kart will not get rolling as Dupuis really using rotation on the entry of the corner. And with the track this slick, we're seeing a lot of drivers utilize the entry of the corner to get that kart fully rotated. While you may think, oh, it's gonna over-rotate, then you catch that round liner, it really hooks that left rear and it sticks back on. You use it like a railroad track. So Nate Dupuis doing a good job of that, getting the rotation done early on in the corner. And we saw some Argy-Bargy further back. You saw Rivera for Nunez and Vanchev going after it, splitting the Orsalon pairs, the RPG driver up to P6. You can just see up the road in a different zip code, apparently, I think in Orlando at this point for Theo Salamao.
Still so early into it, but already the gap keeps following. Down through turn number 1 there. Julian Rivera right in the middle of that 3-pack led by Alexander Vanchev. Let's see some of the other movers and shakers here in the opening laps trying to come back, obviously. Brady Shad, Darren Kidd, they're way back from their incident on that first lap. Those two started 5th and 7th. They are currently down in 29th and 30th. But on the upside, Vanchev, of course, we saw him on that replay making up a lot of spots. He's not the only one up. Marco Samet is up a little bit here. Drew Jensen you're seeing now at the helm of that group that's coming by, albeit having to defend in the last turn, but this would put him up, I believe, another spot, put him to 9th, up 4. And indeed, up 4 for Drew Jensen on the Nash Motorsports entry, just getting by Edward Kennedy. Some of the other drivers that have gone up or down positions here in the first few laps here. We have obviously had Marcos Burgess go back a little bit, Felix Catch back a little bit, and both of those two, I think, also have gone off. So it was the Catch in the 879. Marcos Burgess we didn't catch. And then looking at this middle group here, this is 9th, 10th, on back to around 13th, 14th. Edward Kennedy in the middle, and he's going to get all kinds of crossed up. Heads up move there by Nico Katowski. Nice job.
Yeah, good move there. But again, all this fighting is starting to split up this second pack. That's Drew Jensen ahead of this group. Murphy's going to go to 10th, and he's at the helm now of this group. Katowski, Kennedy, And then further back, more fighting. That's one of the Ryan Perry Motorsports machines there. Looks like, I believe, Caleb Tarter. No, Edgar Rodriguez there getting around Caleb Tarter as one driver around the 821 for Arcane Motorsports has looped it on the brake zone into turn 1. And we've seen a lot of drivers make that mistake throughout this weekend. That was Maui Angel there, who was in 24th.
Halfway in and halfway home this time by. 12 down, 13 laps to go. Down to the back stretch. Move there for Forrest Adams. That was on Edward Kennedy. 4-12. The Energy Karts backward slide. It's going to go maybe even another one as looking there was Edgar Rodriguez on the 847. Meanwhile, your leaders still no changes up front, but the lap times have finally started to kind of even out. Took them a while to get their footing. 40.5s for Nathan Dupuis and Teo Salamao. A little bit better for Travis Pettit and Isaac Malcutt, but to eat into that gap, I mean, it's going to be a taller order, a taller ask of these drivers the later we go into the session, right, Alex? I mean, we're 12 and a half to 13 to go right now, so mark it now at 12 laps remaining. This group here, this six-pack, to reel in the race leader, which they lost a 10th that time by, would need 3/10 a lap. Roughly, at minimum to get there.
I mean, again, this pack lost time to Salamao. 2 drivers gained time, and it's the drivers 4th and 5th in line here. Vanchev and Rivera, the last 2 laps have been 2/10 quicker than Salamao. They went purple the lap prior. Vanchev Rivera did a 40.3. Luis Fernandez went purple at a 40.1. So he actually took 4/10 out of Salamao. The only issue he has is he's got to clear a lot of go-karts. Vanchev going to make it pretty easy, make a hole for the drivers behind him. He's going to go to 5th or 4th as he gets around Ike. And yeah, the rest of the group follows through. So for Nunez, I believe, got around Rivera. No, Rivera's still ahead for Nunez. So now, let's see what this trio can do. It's going to take some late race heroics here to eat into that gap of Salamao. But let's see, lap time-wise, again, making that move, you're going to lose time naturally, Salamao. But the lap times are falling away for Theo. A 40.6 was what he did last time around as 2 together there.
Tyrone Kemper, and there's more that are trying to avoid it at the exit of turn number 1. He's in a terrible spot. He's just barely going to get going. This weekend has been one to forget for Tyrone Jr. And the Speed Concepts Racing 833 will drop all the way to the rear. In fact, he's on the cusp of going a lap down now. And this is going to get really hairy. This is the one saving grace here for this group. Teo Salamao is going to blend in with kind of all the lap traffic, whereas a fast pack of 4 to 5 carts is going to be very easy for someone that's about to go a lap down to realize and pull out of the way. But Teo's going to get to them all first, and there's a lot of them. I can only imagine the stress load that Blake Kahn and the officiating crew are under right now, the pressure, because we've touched on it a lot yesterday and a little bit on Friday. This bull ring, this short track, if you will, on the National Tour, lap times at the 40-second marker and below with 47 carts on the racetrack. Here we go. There's your leader, Teo Salamao in the 851, and right up the road, Tyrone Kemper Jr. Now, we know Tyrone's fast, and we know he's a very experienced driver. He won't probably be much of an issue. But there's more carts ahead of Tyrone that could be, with still laps looming. We're down to 3.2 seconds. And they don't necessarily even have to brake check, or not even brake check really, but go slow in front of Teo and force him to hit the brakes, Alex. They could just go off and pick up some dirt and bring it onto the racetrack. And that would be enough to throw him off.
Well, I think that's what's been happening here for Salamao. Again, an offline entry to turn 11. That's going to slow his momentum down. And looking at Theo's lap times, he's actually been the slowest of the top 5 the last couple of laps, and I think part of it's just due to, we've seen it on our camera shots throughout the race, drivers further back, dropping tires, going off, spinning, bringing dirt on the racetrack, and when you're the leader, you're the first one to roll through the corner and hit that dirt patch. So last time around, Nate Dogg a little bit slower actually by 2/1000ths over Salamao, but they're going to need more pace. Pettit giving the signal to Rivera. Let's work together, let's roll through. Rivera, 40.2. He's been eating at this gap. If Julian Rivera didn't fall back at the opening stages of this race, he has pace late on this race. He's been consistently 3, 4, last time 5/10 quicker than Theo Salamao. I wonder how much maybe Salamao looked back and realized he has such a big gap. No need to really push too hard here and risk any mistakes. Last time around, Dupuis, Pettit, and Rivera all quicker than Salamao, but they need more than a 10th a lap with 6 to go.
Yeah, I'm just not quite sure if they're going to be able to get any extra help here. I thought for a moment Salamao might catch traffic. He will not. So before we catch back up with our leaders for their inevitable last lap battle for the podium, let's work our way back one more time and check on in. Darren Kidd and, of course, Brady Shad, the two drivers that went off on that opening lap in turns 2 and 3. They have clawed their way back to 23rd and 24th. They are on the way. Next up in their line will be Emerson Lane in the Hotstede Tony Kart. This middle group here, they battle enough. They may back up towards them. This is Jack Katowski, Tristan Murphy. Didn't even see Forrest Adams coming. Nearly sent him into the flagman. And, of course, Edgar Rodriguez there in the white suit. Redhead Edward Kennedy's blue and red energy. That's all around 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th there with Caleb Tarter in the Brandon Garza-Crack Racing Machine. 18th to 10th for Nico Katowski. Jack is little brother right now has the edge by about 2 spots, Alex, on who's made up more spots today.
And that's always good to have some bragging rights when you get back into the pits there. So for the Katowskis, they always have a good time together. A funny duo of brothers to go out there and talk to any chance you get. Further back, look at this move. Cole Medeiros. He must have had a moment in the middle of this race that we missed because he didn't have the greatest starting spot, but that's definitely further back than where he started. I mean, he's down there, I believe, outside the top 15. He is now 15th.
Just got it.
Path.
Yeah.
So where did he roll off here, Xander? 23rd. So he actually has made up spots. So I believe Heat 3 is where it kind of unraveled for him throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I think we'll see probably more of Cole in the X30 races. Again, we're used to seeing him in the main group, but the KA heats were split. So trying to remember back of how everyone fared, well, you got to kind of divide their, multiply their spots by 2. And speaking of that here, out front of this second group, Julian Rivera kicked up a little dust. It's not going to hurt anyone. You saw Dupuis kind of get out of shape. It didn't seem to affect them too much there. And they were kind of split in 2 groups of 3. They're back now to a 4 group. And then Vanchev and Malcutt, who has faded all the way to the back of the line. Another spot up that time. Brady Shad did get around Emerson Lane for 21st. Darren Kidd will get right to him next up. Those two are lapping on pace or better than race leader Teo Salamau and this entire second pack. So as gut-wrenching as it is, the takeaway for those two drivers here is the speed is absolutely there. Not like there were any doubts on it, but fastest 2 karts on the racetrack have been more times than not the 2 back around the 19th and 20th positions trying to claw their way forward. Here's Forrest Adams. This is, again, just a bit ahead of where they're going to get to. Right now, 10th, 11th, 12th. Adams, Katowski, Tristan Murphy there in the green and white Tony Kart. Oh, we had a spin down in turn 1. Look there. That's the 844. Grayson Walcott's gone all the way to our camera station. Yeah, nearly into the softball.
That steering wheel is all sorts of out of shape.
That was
and
with
Brady Shad. So Brady Shad's all his good work has come undone. It must have been a pretty heavy impact, or at least a collision for Grayson Walcott, because that steering wheel was definitely at least knocked the front right toe out. So his race is done. Brady Shad's race, it went from good to bad to good and now bad again.
Well, let's go back to the front of the pack here now with 2 laps to go. How much is it going to unravel? Teo Salamau's lead is safe. Can Orsolone Racing kick off their run in KA Junior for the U.S. Pro Kart Series with a 1-2 run and be a huge step forward towards that Geo Cup, the team championship, where they score points based on how the drivers fare over the course of the season across all 7 divisions. A 1-2 run for the OR logo there on the pylon. Orsolone Racing. Teo Salamau's got it all but locked up. Julian Rivera's got to hang on to try and hold on to second. Travis Pettit there third.
You got to watch out for Nate Dogg here. He's not afraid to get his elbows out, and if you open up the corner too much, he's going to throw it in. And unfortunately for Pettit, threw it in a little bit too late. But I think Rivera threw it off the racetrack by himself. He's got dirt in his tires through 5. It's going to get dicey further back.
Oh, man, Pettit got a push. Now he's trying to defend off from Dupuis. Rivera still hanging on. Vanchev trying to go on Travis Pettit. Off the podium, or off the top 3 now. Last run through the bus stop. Vanchev left the door open. Malcutt sends it through. He gets into the top 5. All the while down the front stretch, Teo Salamau dominates the main and KA Junior. And to the line for the podium. Rivera, Dupuis, Pettit at the line. Luis Fernandez steals the top 5 away from Isaac Malcutt.
So Orsolone has 3 drivers in the top 5 there. I know Fabio's going to be happy with that one to kickstart the Sunday mains for him. Malcutt P6, Jensen, Vanchev gets kicked out of that group as a whole. I mean, we saw him fighting for that 4th place spot, but again, when you find yourself on the outside of turn number 10, you're pretty much just left to hang out to dry. So for him, P8 for Vanchev, but a good drive through. Started 17th. Samet, Adams, the two BJR drivers, 9th and 10th. And then further back, we had some more good drives to the field. Nico Kowski, Murphy, Rodriguez, Kennedy, Caleb Tarter, 15th. Where did Brady Shad end up? I know Darren Kidd, 20th. Good run back through. Brady Shad got shoved off the racetrack twice. He pulled in, so he pulled into the pits. So a DNF, unfortunately, for Brady.
Teo Salamal, though, victorious here at Daytona. 4.7 seconds, the final margin, and I think he's just now going to realize, or maybe he got to see it coming out of turn number 1. His teammate, Julian Rivera, makes it an Orsolone Racing 1-2, and that's what it means. The celebration for the boys in green and black getting ready to get underway. Here's a final look at the overall results for your top 15. And we know, of course, the two at the top of the board are standing by here with Caleb.
Thank you, Xander. Teo's taking his helmet off. What a weekend for you, Teo. You're a winner here at Daytona. How does it feel?
Really good. Really good feeling. We are fast all the weekend. And, yeah, I make my job, the team, and we win.
Going out there, watching you go lap after lap, it seemed like a work of art. Why did this track suit you so well this weekend?
So I like it really much, this track. I don't know, it's like my style to drive.
Who would you like to thank for this race victory, Teo?
My team, Orsolone, Esteban, who fixed my car, Julian Rivera, Alex, and Pablo, los otros, todos el equipo.
What would you like to say to your family back home?
Vamos Brasil, caralho!
From Teo Salamal, your winner here in Junior.
Thank you, Caleb. There you go. Teo Salamal fired up after that, and Brazil on top with Orsolone Racing. Fabio Orsolone's green and black group's been very fast here at Daytona. They have gotten this place figured out well already, and the KA Junior race is probably going to be hanging in the scale line, I think, for a moment or two to go through things and clear the racetrack. It'll give us a moment to step aside. When we return, KA Senior is coming to you. 52 drivers deep. The U.S. Pro Kart Series opening weekend is underway. 2 races done. 5 remain here from Daytona. Great look back there with our Coastal Link custom printing race recap. That is how he did it. Teo Salamal in KA Junior. Of course, there was all kinds of action and chaos behind him, but the Orsolone Junior pilot, well, he drove it straight to the front. They're still waiting in the scale line because there's so much to run back from that event. I mean, he's got nothing to worry about. He was out front from the start of it, got the green, and that car's basically been untouched. Perfect looking machine there. For the 851 of Teo Salamal, but the rest of the field, I'm sure, is still under a little deliberation from the officials and the track cleanup and prep, because we only had so many that were able to make it to the finish line. So that's what's got things changed. Also, looking at timing and scoring here, I believe, if this is right, Alan Isambard is going to the rear of the KA Senior field with
not racing.
Oh, not racing.
Ribbon
oh,
injury.
out. There you go. So there you have it. Alan Isambard out from the KA field. That'll drop us to 50. No sign for him. No sign for Cal Peter. And I think that might be the last couple things that they were checking towards the back half of the grid to make sure they're all right. They're showing correct on timing and scoring now. That, of course, promotes Ty Fisher up and into 10th. Now, in the past, what that would do was just if he didn't tell anyone anything and didn't show up, the line would just move forward, and then people would think he'd missed the session. But kudos to Allen and Rocket Racing Company. We know he's been struggling with his ribs basically this whole winter stretch. He sat out the end of the second Rotax Max Winter Trophy weekend. He practiced there at rounds 3 and 4. That was the first week of February. Missed that one, and surprising and not surprising, I guess, here, right? These aren't curbs that you hit. They're flat, but like you said, Alex, I mean, you're constantly under load on the left side of your body here.
But in general, right, I mean, that seat wraps around you, and you're no matter if it's the smoothest surface in the world and the corners are as round as a Daytona banking, you're still going to feel it. You're constantly under load, and karting is so physical. It's one of the most underrated aspects of the sport. And so to me, the rib injury is one of the most frustrating and annoying injuries to deal with. I had one many years ago. I had a cracked rib, and I drove under it. Probably shouldn't have, but it hurts. It sucks. And I mean, months, honestly, to really fully recover. I think Allen maybe prematurely tried to get back in the seat, get on the saddle, and he was struggling at the end of Friday. He said, listen, I was just going to put some ointment on it, get a wrap together around my ribs, and get it. I just got to go and push through it. I think he just couldn't push through it enough. Probably woke up this morning and said, yeah, I'm done. I'm going home. So for Allen Isambard, I mean, he's still here, but unfortunately not racing. And again, like you said, now everyone kind of moves up a spot. It changes. I mean, you go to bed and think, okay, I'm starting on the outside. Now you're on the inside, or vice versa. Maybe you want to be on the inside, and now you're on the outside. We know the outside lane tends to be one of the worst spots. So for some drivers, it could be a little bit different for them. But how about it for the BJR crew? It's a front row lockout. Massimino, Overbeck, and then it's back to MDR for Christian Miles, and then Brandon Lemke debut for Speed Concepts Racing, rolling off P4.
That, and they had to do the quick get off the grid dance and fire the engine up. You saw Paulie Massimino's dad, Paul, have to run over there with an external starter, but he's got the pull man away. And back to row 3, couple of rookies, Sebastian Garzone, Enzo Vidmontien. Garzone trying to bring the Orsilon colors to the top, just like we witnessed in Junior, and the same for his teammate back on row 4, Mateo Pappas, who has been very quick this weekend, easy to pick out with that black helmet, and always fast, the California kid, Blake Nash.
Further back, Caleb Gaffera for Hotes DD, Isambard not racing, Ty Fisher, Jose Carlos Hernandez, 11th and 12th, Peyton Phillips, Frankie Mossman, Shane Reddy, Mick Gabriel, Dono Bonilla, Eli Warren, Dominic Karai, and Tony Rivera, your top 20 drivers.
We'll quickly show you the last bit of the grid here. There are 50 in total, and, well, we've got as many as we can. 25 laps. We'll definitely get some time to talk about most of them. James Overbeck on the outside in the red and blue suit. Paulie Massimino in the all black. Green flag in the air for KA Senior from Daytona. And 50 karts are all trying to find their way through turn 1. Massimino got shoveled wide. It is maybe Christian Miles or Garzone in the lead now. Big time change up out front. And as they quickly try to work their way through turns 2, 3, 4, 5, who we got? Miles taking a look down at the pushback bumper to see if it engaged or not down the backstretch and through the bus stop chicane. Christian Miles, your leader, and into second for Caleb Gaffera, third for Garzone. Paulie Massimino from the pole back to fourth, and Christian Miles is going to go straight to the low side to block. Here comes Garzone to get to second. We are in for a fight here from what it looks like in KA Senior, Alex. One down.
This is a fun top 3. 3 of the most aggressive drivers in North America. Christian Miles, Garzone, Gaffera, not afraid to get some elbow grease out there. Blake Nash to 4th. Look at this. Massimino 5th. Overbeck 10th. That front row, major issues. I just think they got caught out by the lack of grip they had on the braking entering turn number 1. Massimino now under fire from Fisher, having to go defensive on Ty there. Peyton Phillips. We haven't really talked about the 911 all weekend long, but he's been slowly, methodically working his way into the top group. Dono Bonilla has worked his way up to 8th. Mateo Pappas, to me, has been the rising star of the weekend, and he's been up there throughout as well. Nash through, Pappas through as well. Bonilla loses 2.
Yeah, a couple of moves there in the last corner, and then everyone back down to the white line into turn number 1. It's going to be like this until something splits the pack apart. It's one big line of go-karts, all trailing Christian Miles and Sebastian Garzone. It is back to familiar territory here with Mike Doty racing for Christian Miles and an OTK machine. We saw him last year on a TV kart. Now Ty Fisher leads that group in the lime green colors. Paulie Massimino and James Overbeck, nowhere to go right now for the pair of them. Overbeck even further back behind Peyton Phillips. And I'll correct you a little bit, Alex. We were pretty good about showing Peyton's progression, but yeah, first time this weekend he's anywhere close to the battle for the lead, and he just got closer now with Sebastian Garzone going to the front. And people. Christian tried to point to tell him to go forward, but everyone's just going to block, I think, until something happens. Let's look at 3, look at 4. I mean, they're all still just narrow, so narrow that the back of the pack can close up in an instant, although it looked like someone went off there around maybe 11th. Who would that have been? I think that might have been Brandon Lemke and Jose Hernandez.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Because now Vidmontien's up there in 11th. Vidmontien, a driver that also had a pretty rough opening lap. He was up in the top 5 or 6 positions there, down there in 11th. But we know he's a driver that loves to get his elbows out as well. Phillips through on Fisher. Overback's going to go through as well. Ty's had a really smart weekend so far. I mean, maybe leaving the door open too much sometimes, as Caleb G's going to ramp over top of Blake Nash. Both drivers lucky to make it through and not lose a spot.
Well, that was hairy, and Paulie Massimino is going to pay the price for it. He got bottled up the most, stacks that pack back up again, and now Vidmontien and Isert are there. It's a track position game right now. Christian Miles back in front of Garzone. Overback fending off from Mateo Pappas here. And yeah, indeed, the 2 that went off, Brandon Lemke, our top qualifier in his debut weekend with Speed Concepts Racing, and Jose Hernandez. They crossed the line 15th and 18th last time by. Check out the pushback deployed there for Caleb Gaffera. Already going to lose this one probably in the scale line without a before he can get to the appeal process. He'll have to go to the protest room if he finishes on the podium and wants to stay there today. Paulie, though, through on Gaffera, and Caleb caught the marbles. He'll lose 2 more.
Overback back through. We know the pace that James has. If he can just go out there and get back towards the front of the field. But Miles around Garzone. It's a change for the lead. MDR up top. Garzone, Nash are top 3. Gaffera is going to fall back, obviously. So now it's Massimino and Phillips in that top 5 spot. How about it? It's MDR, Orsalon, Nash, BJR, Arcane. That's a pretty cool top 5. A lot of the same go-karts, but always cool to see different branding.
6 laps in, we seem that like we can finally catch our breath a bit here now. Well, no. Caleb Gaffera just got boot scooting boogied all the way to the high side, and he's going to lose 3 spots as Brandon Lemke's comeback charge now begins with a nice move, a heads-up position there on Enzo Vidmontien. He's got to go now, and he's got to go quick. Trying to go to work now on one of the Rocket Racing entry machines. That was Quentin Jelly.
Well, I think Christian Miles just got shoved to the wayside there through 6 and 7. Blake Nash,
Indeed.
new leader, Garzone to P2. So we have a change for the lead, and Miles looks over his shoulder, and again, a slight change, right? It's not BJR, MDR, it's BJR, and then Mike Doty Racing, a separate tent. Still good to work together as Vidmontien stalled it on the back straight.
Motor problems here for Enzo Vidmontien as Blake Nash now commands the field, and we've got other issues down in turn 1. Who is that? That is the 996 of Dominic Karai on top of the 924 LN kart of Shane Reddy, 16th and 17th. Yellow flags waving down here on the short chute as Vidmontien pulls off to the inside.
I mean, every time you say we have a chance to catch our breath, we don't. It just keeps shuffling. This is what we expected from KA Senior, though. This is what we expected from the KA Junior class if Theo Salamao wasn't so dominant. Here goes Massimino to the inside. Miles makes it easy. It's basically BJR, MDR, 2, 3, and 4 right now as these drivers are trying to go after Blake Nash. Blake coming off of a huge win over on the Rotax West Trophy side of things, getting a ticket over to Bahrain. Overback through on Miles now. Tried the crossover, couldn't make it stick. Somehow, some way, Massimino and Overback had a really rough start, fell back, and they're back to 2nd and 3rd now.
So fun to watch these 2 now. Christian Miles, James Overback, and then, of course, Paulie Massimino right in front of them try to go to work and display a little bit of individual pace here. It's taken us about 8 laps, almost 9, to separate your leaders enough for just individual passes like that to happen and to finally see the difference in speed. If there was any testament, though, in not losing your head in the early couple of laps, it's got to be how Paulie and James played it. Both of them from the front row getting shuffled back outside the top 5 for James, back down to 5th for Paulie. And then to just stay there, to stay cool, to take care of their stuff, and let everybody else race themselves out of the main pack. Now, at the midway point, they've got a great opportunity to really hunt down Blake Nash and then maybe get around him and build a gap. Meanwhile, this group here, they have got to get away from everyone else and some way or another keep sight of the leaders at the same time. Brandon Lemke is going to put himself into the top 10 as Donovan Mania goes off.
And that was by himself, too. No help at all. Steven Eisert, you saw him messing with the needles on the back straightaway there. So Steven Eisert messing with the needles. And again, not what we want to see if your speed sense, because anytime your driver's looking down instead of looking forward, the drivers behind him know that there might be a slight issue with the engine.
Let's go down to Caleb Viesca here really quickly as the racing continues. Big move from Tony Rivera on Steven Iser trying to get by. And Jose Hernandez there side by side with fast Frankie Mossman through the bus stop. Caleb.
Thank you. Early DNF for Caleb G. Into the pits with a flat front left. Back to you guys.
Heartbreaker there for Caleb Gaffera. We knew his day was about already somewhat in trouble, knowing how much of a struggle it was for him just to keep the bumper on, and it got deployed. But here for the lead, Paulie Massimino and James Overbeck, a BJR 1-2 punch, and Blake Nash is still reeling from it as he ends up dropping a tire out of 3, and now he's vulnerable to Christian Miles and crew.
Time to get back to work for Blake Nash because he just lost a couple of kart lengths now with that dropping of a tire to Overbeck. And again, that pretty much ruins the next 2 corners for you trying to get the dust off the tires. So if you're Christian Miles, if you're Garzone, this is your time to pounce. That being said, this is one of those weird situations where if you're Christian Miles and you get up to Blake Nash, do you pass him or work with him because your 2 teammates are up front?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, again, somewhat teammates, right? These 2 groups here, Bright Doty Racing, Brandon Jarskak Racing, have worked together this year, the first year with both of them running as independent operations. The first time we've got to get used to looking at those LN karts of Mike Doty Racing and the blue and white BJR kit as 2 different operations. We just saw Christian, though, lose his spot to a true pair of teammates in Sebastian Garzone and Mateo Pappas, who, by the way, Mateo has been probably the most talked about driver in our top 6 right now inside the top 5. The 919 hasn't yet led laps this weekend. I believe he's the only one in your top 6 drivers that has not taken the lead yet. Here's a look at the big moment, though, for the lead. Both of them going by, and I don't know if Blake Nash kind of caught the right rear bumper of James Overbeck or if he just didn't anticipate it well enough, but that's not the first time we've seen someone have to stay on the outside through the entirety of turn number 3, Alex, and the marbles offline in turn 3 take you straight into the dirt.
Yeah, it's so frustrating as a driver because you just always want more grip, and you think you can go side by side until you can. I think Blake, yeah, I couldn't tell if he hooked the right rear bumper of Overbeck or just tried to floor it a little bit too soon, and unfortunately, as the exit of turn 4 goes on, it's slightly off cambered. That curbing is a little bit slick, but nonetheless, hasn't really gotten him out of shape. He has re-caught the group to the front, and Overbeck senses it.
His hand. He's forced James to stop pushing Paulie and go to the lead.
Because at some point, when you're teammates, you have to get a little bit selfish, and we're getting to the latter half of the race now. 10 to go here. Still a long race, and the more you fight up front, that gap to that next group is closing, and it's not even a next group anymore. It's become one solid group. Garzone, Pappas, Miles back into the mix, and Ty Fisher has resorted himself as a top contender. He leads that next group of Bonilla and Brandon Lemke, a driver that if you ever give him some red mist, he's not somebody that you really want to go out there and fight against.
I think they're all going to end up stacking up for the lead here sooner rather than later, as there's a big bobble out of Christian Miles, absolutely to the wayside in turn 1. He'll try to block low in 3. Ty Fisher all over him now. Bonilla there, Lemke there, Phillips. Look who's right still in the mix. Steven Isert, Speed Sense machine. But if Miles is able to keep them at bay and does it by white lining here, that'll impede all the progress they were just starting to make towards this 5-pack up front, trailed by Mateo Pappas. So let's look at it down the backstretch, and well, yeah, it did explode right there. Ty Fisher in the TB.
Yeah, Ty, unfortunately, one of the victims of just pack racing there. Let's see if he pulls in. He's going to keep fighting. I mean, it's still, he didn't fall back all too much. I think a little bit further behind than Frankie Mossman out front, though. This top 5 hasn't changed since the last lap. Garzone, a slight bobble out of 1. At some point, I wonder if the Orsalon pair, they're fast enough to get there. Who's going to be the first one to make a move? I think if you're Paulie, you got to go. Yeah, Paulie's going to go down the inside here at 6 and 7. You want to at least create a buffer for James up front. Garzone wants to go through. Pappas wants to go through on his teammate, but he has to bail because the inside of 9 becomes the outside of 10.
That and playing the smart game there. If they would have gone side by side, they might have opened the door for Blake Nash to get too far out of reach for him. Garzone's going to have a shot at Nash in turn 1. He wanted it, couldn't quite get it. All on the low side. James Overbeck with the biggest lead any driver's had so far today here in KA Senior. His teammate into second. Pressure's on Paulie to run him down, but is this a big-time statement by last year's KA superstar in Overbeck to put one on Paulie Massimino, the OKN Stars champ? These two were only on the racetrack together a handful of times last year. And the biggest win for both of them when they were together was when they were not on the track together, but teamed together at the Mark Harrison Memorial 200. That's at least the first event that comes to mind for me, seeing both of those drivers in KA machines for Brandon Jarzakrak Racing. But today, it's a matter of head-to-head individual racing, and James has the upper hand here late in the going, although Paulie was able to get back to neutral with him lap time-wise last time, and Blake seems to be willing to push him now that he's gotten some gap, a bit of cushion back to Mateo.
You need more than equal to go out there and catch Overbeck, and with 6 to go, this is going to help at least the front group continue to pull away. Peyton Phillips going to drop to the latter half of this group as Lemke now leads this second quintet, I guess you could say, or there's more. There's actually 6 drivers in this mix as Tony Rivera wanted to go on Miles. Miles goes low. It's going to ruin the exit here. Phillips and Isert working together as well, but how about the run for Tony Rivera through the field?
Yeah, Tony Rivera on the move right now here. The Team Ferris Racing Kart Republic from 20th up to 9th. Great drive here in the main event. Good amount of spots gained for him. Same for Donovan Bonilla up 10. He granted had a much better start, an easier one being on the inside lane. Tony had to do it from the outside back in 20th, but Donovan up from 17th to 7th. And behind them as well, Steven Isert, 23rd to 11th. Quentin Angeli, 25th to 12th. So some big movers right around to the end of the top 10 and outside of it. But Christian Miles, the backward slide hasn't stopped. He's only been able to kind of just get to neutral at points, but he's still defending more than he's being able to hit his marks and attack. And I think, again, that's probably what took Ty Fisher out of the running here in this main group and could send Christian Miles into more danger if he's frustrating drivers having to cover that spot off.
Well, Nash has gone through on Paulie Massimino at front. So Blake Nash now, the shackles have been unleashed on that Nash Motorsports EOS machine. What does he have? He's got 4 laps to do it, a little bit less than 4 laps to do it now to get after James Overbeck. And it's a setup masterclass for the top 3 because lap time-wise, Overbeck did his personal best last time around. He just went purple this lap on lap 22 of 25. The laps are getting better and better for these drivers. Paulie a little bit slower than his best lap last time around due to getting passed by Blake Nash. These 3 have now really stretched their legs in the rest of the field.
James Overbeck just needs to keep hitting his marks. He could still give up a 10th or 2 per lap and bring it home, but I think even this lap he's starting to pull further away. The wild card that could play a factor here is there's a pack at the back of the field that is still fighting right now. I don't believe were waved in this time. They might have been warned ahead of James, but here they are down at turn number 1. There's lap traffic and there's the race leader. They go off at all, they bring any dirt on the track, or if something happens and James has to avoid them, well, things could get a little bit wild. Paulie still trying to help Blake Nash's case to lead the pair back forward. Last time by, they evened out to James. This time, yeah, maybe. It's still just around a 1 second buffer.
Yeah, the lap times are ticking down, and I think at this point, James is quick enough. Paulie is faster than the pair of them up front, but they're gonna need a lot more than a 10th or 2 at this stage of the race. We're gonna see 2 to go this time by. Mathematically, they need half second a lap if you're Blake and Massimino.
Pass there for Peyton Phillips on Steven Isert. Battling here between the Orsillo and Tony Kart. Scarzone with a slick move there on Mateo Pappas for 4th.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, right, when you look back, you have a 2.5 second buffer to Lemke, a 2 second buffer to Paulie Massimino. You know the best you're going to do at this stage, unless anything crazy happens, if you're Garzone, is 4th. So might as well go out there and pass your teammate.
I think we might have just saw Paulie go by. Indeed, yeah, Paulie Massimino right at the bottom of the frame. Finally decided, okay, that's enough. I got to get by for 2nd. And coming to the white flag, James Overbeck's lead, about a 1.5 seconds. Paulie Massimino now with a couple car lengths back to Blake Nash, sending him kind of into the marbles. It's a huge gap, 2.3 seconds. Blake must have been defending or fighting that pass a little bit. James Overbeck, another quick time, purple lap. Just an incredible second half of this race from the front row. Going back to 7th or 8th on that first lap by. He has rebounded tremendously.
James Overbeck, we spoke with him on the Friday afternoon. He's a driver that loves this racetrack, has had success here. But at the racetrack where he saw his idol growing up, Jimmy Johnson, have a lot of success at, James Overbeck, rounds turn 11, he's gonna do what Jimmy Jam's done. He wins here in KA Senior.
Paulie Massimino will complete a Brandon Jarsicrack Racing 1-2. Blake Nash third. Sebastian Garzone fourth over Mateo Pappas with that slick move down in turn 1 with 2 to go. Brandon Lemke drives his way all the way back up to 6th after getting sent down to as low as 15th. Christian Miles hangs on for 7th. Donovan Bonilla 8th. Anthony Rivera 20th to 9th. Peyton Phillips 10th at the end of it all. And a quick handshake there as the BJR boys lock out the top 2 spots. What a performance here from the pair of them. And James Overbeck especially this weekend, he didn't look like the outright best driver, the outright favorite coming into the main today. He ends with a phenomenal performance from really lap 13 on. He just let it eat and pulled a massive, massive margin by the end. Fast lap of the day. And the main event win leading over half the circuits around the 948. Victorious here, Paulie Massimino. A quick congratulations from him and from Blake Nash there. Nice to see some clean racing again from KA Senior. This class at points throughout last year got a bit tough to watch sometimes with how chaotic, how crash filled it could get for the race win. But this was as close as you could get quarters racing-wise, and still very clean for the most part. Not everyone had a clean run through. Obviously, we saw a few get knocked off, Brandon Lemke especially, but more like Jose Carlos Hernandez into the weeds, and a few bit of incidents outside the top 10. But for the lead, for the race win, for about the entirety of it, once we got the pack kind of separated, it was clean. And James Overbeck kicks off his U.S. Pro Kart Series with a win, Caleb.
Yeah, thank you. I think Alex said it best, right? A place where you saw your idol, Jimmy Johnson, win races. You do it with the 48. How special is it to win here today?
Oh, it's so cool, and especially because I've never won a KA race here. I've always had it on the list that one that I wanted to win was a KA race here, and I've been so close to many times the past few years, and it's nice to get when I know how much Brandon likes to win here. This is one of his favorite places, so I let him down a little bit a few months ago, but I think I redeemed myself.
Yeah, and as well, I mean, how special is it, right? You and Paulie, a 1-2 for the BJR crew. We'll talk to Paulie here as well, but how is it for you guys after all the hard work you guys have gone through?
Yeah, for sure. It was. I wasn't really expecting a 1-2 after the start we got. It looked like to me the inside road just got shoved and everyone went straight in turn 1. So me and Paulie got set back pretty far. I don't know where I went back to, but I was back there and just had to maneuver my way up there. And I could tell once Paulie was in first, I was in second. He was sliding around a little bit, so I passed him and we set sail from there. So it was a hard race. It definitely didn't come easy, but we showed that we had the 2 fastest pieces on the racetrack.
Last year you were the underdog, James, looking for the rest of the year.
Just like I said in my interview a few days ago, just keep doing what I've been doing. We don't have to be the fastest right out of the gate, but I think just keep working at it all weekend, and we eventually find ourselves getting there almost every time. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the year, and hopefully we can keep this momentum up, especially at USPKS. You know, the end of the year goal is to win a championship, so just keep doing what we've been doing and don't stop now.
Congrats, James.
Thank you.
We'll move on here to Paulie as well. I saw you happy. Obviously, it wasn't a win for you today, but how special is it for you guys to go 1-2 here today?
Oh, it's great. You know, I don't mind. You know, if I win or if anybody else under our team wins, as long as we get the win, you know, it's really cool to get 1-2. I know we started 1-2 as well, but like James said, you know, the inside road just got completely shoved out of the way. So we got set back a little bit in the beginning, but we ended up bouncing back. Super proud of James. He's a monster. It's hard to keep up with him, but try my hardest, and you know. It's great because on Thursday we were probably about 7/10 off, so to come back and finish 1-2, we could definitely be proud of that.
Who made it possible for you guys here this weekend to have such a good result?
You know, the whole BGR team, BBS, Offset, Nexet, my dad, of course, doing double duty, so he's been a little busy all weekend. Everybody under that tent. Let's see, Odenthal. But yeah, best team in the paddock. Best KA100 team, so if you want to run the best, come with us.
Well, there you go from Paulie Massimino. Engines are firing on the grid. We'll send it back up to Xander.
Thank you, Caleb. And you're right. We're ready to roll here as the Karts head onto the racetrack. Let's take you through the starting lineup for the Mini Swift main event. Enzo De Janeiro on the Paralyn USA number 190 is going to lead your field to green here. Holden Myers in the Timmy Tech Comp Kart will join him on the outside of row number 1. Maxwell Macha and Parker Ives. Yesterday through the heats, they were starting, I believe, back on row 4. Today, they've jumped up 2. They're on row number 2, starting P3 and P4.
Further back, you go to Jaden Francisco and Lawrence Perriman with that all basketball helmet. Can't miss them there. Back to the Bennick of Paxton Romero, Santi Orioli for OKP on road number 4. Back to Cade Wolf and Liam Nashawati, your top 10.
Cameron Johnson and Jake Manalio will make up row number 6. Mauro Nario and Colton Bruck back on row 7.
Further back, you go to Camila Canache and William Vitor, Simon Jack Klein, Luca Besserell, Oscar Gus Wonderlay, and Thomas Montalvo, your top 20 starters.
Kai Park will lead things off on the second page there on the inside of Nico Salazar, and the rest of your starters here for your 30 driver Mini Swift field. They're rounding that last turn. Here we go, looking for green on the first time by 22 laps for the Mini Swift main event, presented by Velocity Racing Soda USA. Green flag in the air. Enzo De Janeiro takes us right down to the first turn, and it is still treacherous and up and over. Cameron Johnson pirouettes on the right rear tire of, I believe, Nachawati there in the 180.
Oh man, we lost a lot of drivers at the start of this one. They all got rolling, it looks like to me, but again, it's gonna really reshape that entire mid-pack. We already have a huge group as De Janeiro goes really defensive on the likes of Francisco there. It pays off for him, but you start losing ground to those leaders early on, so it's Maxwell that leads over Myers, De Janeiro, Francisco. Ives loses a spot after all the chaos to start here, but when they cross the stripe, let's see how much this grid has really reshaped itself.
Yeah, we know that obviously our pole man's back to P3, and third on the grid is now into the lead, but the rest of the drivers changing around. Nico Salazar up into the top 10. Where will Nachawati and Cameron Johnson fade down to? Both were able to continue 29th, basically dead last. Right there going by your screen was the Franklin Motorsports Merlin of Cameron, and Nachawati back to 25th. They're going to have their work cut out for them over the next 21 laps here to try and make up for that. A sketchy start to kick things off here in Mini Swift as we keep an eye on 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Again in the middle there with the pink helmet, Jaden Francisco, Parker Ives with the chrome helmet in the 148. The Nitro Karts trying to get by the pole sitter. One of them's going to get through there. Jaden into 3rd. Let's see if Parker can make something happen in turn 1 or if Enzo covers it off. He'll stay nice and tight there on the inside, and the same for that entire group behind him. It goes all the way back to 9th place there. Cade Wolf on that Roto-Rooter Timmy Tech Comp Kart. Here's a look back at the start. Let's see if we can analyze kind of where it went wrong.
It looks like Paxton Romero and I believe Cade Wolf got together, and it caused just a bottleneck further back, and it really ended the races for a lot of drivers.
Man, Liam Nachawati took the left rear tire of Cameron Johnson straight to the side of the head. He probably had no idea what was happening. The fact that Liam is still out there trying to continue is extremely impressive. Another move there inside the main group. That was Perriman, easy to find on the basketball helmet. There into 5th, so Parker Ives goes back a spot. His teammate goes up a spot, and here comes Santi Orioli on that OKP Kart Republic into 7th now, and looking for maybe something here on Parker Ives. No changes, though, at the front, at least for the lead. That's all stayed stagnant. Whoa. There's that move on Orioli. It looked like he was going to make it happen soon. He makes it right there.
It's such a double-edged sword as Romero goes through, where the start of every race, this is as close as the field will ever be. You want to take advantage of the passes. The problem is we know around a place like Daytona, when you pass and you go after it side by side like this further back with Canache and Simon Jack Klein, you lose ground to the guys in front of you.
Yeah, you have to be strategic so that way you don't make those passes hurt when you do get them done, but you also don't want to give the driver behind that you're passing an opportunity to stuff it right back down your inside in the next corner. So it's a balancing act, even in just holding a position, much less, of course, Alex, as you mentioned, managing the time difference between the cars in front and the cars behind you that could catch up to you if you waste too much time getting by. So this group here, prime example, back and forth. Simon Klein there now through the inside on Nico Salazar for 10th, but doing it there, did he lose a lot or did he lose a little? We know the gap was 4.2 from the lead back to the 138. And, oh no, Canache spinning out of the last turn. Camila dropped, I don't even know if she really dropped the tire. It's just the way she was kind of out of shape and then tapped the back bumper of Salazar. And a very odd spin. Maybe the left rear just hung it off, but you can see our first victim of the last turn.
Yeah, unfortunately for Kanache, it starts to roll down towards the center of the racetrack, and these karts aren't quick enough. They don't have enough torque off the bottom for her to climb that hill.
Through the bus stop chicane and down the backstretch, Wolf. But I think your top four still stagnant. Who moved up or down? Orioli got by with Ives on Lawrence Perriman. So that was for position number 5, the change there. And it did open a bit of a gap back from Cade Wolf to Paxton Romero. All that chaos over the last lap or so. Same for Simon Klein. He's got a 7/10 margin back tomorrow, Nario. Your update on the drivers that we saw go out on the first lap. How about Nachawati? Liam Nachawati basically took a knockout blow to the helmet, went back to 25th from 10th. He's now back up to 17th and still digging, and it's not over yet for the driver who drove from 18th to his first U.S. Mini Swift win in Orlando. Let's see if we can't find the 180 Jay Howard driver development machine. That's his teammate William Vitor leading the next group, and it looks like Liam's got himself past the 117 of Thomas Montalvo. So Montalvo working with Nachawati there. 17th and 18th. They are still a good ways back. 11 seconds from the lead for Nachawati and Montalvo. But Liam, so quick here this week, rolled from row number 5. Can he drive it back up into the main pack here after that? And the same for Cameron Johnson, who was way back from the group. He's driven his way up a few of them already into 24th. And we still have 2/3 of the race remaining.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing left. You got a good replay here, Camila Kanache. I think she dropped that left rear, and she did, yeah. And it's kind of drops off, maybe a couple inches there. And again, when you have 3 tires on the surface and 1 not, and you have too much rotation, I mean, that left rear is holding on to nothing.
Well, it's almost like, too, she kind of stopped when she hit the driver in front's bumper. And so, like, the front end just hit a wall. And the pivot point, she still had her wheel turned to try and get off of the driver in front's rear bumper at the same time as that left rear fades off the racetrack. Just an odd spin there, but a great catch by our camera crew down in that last turn in the production booth to slow that down so we could really show you the breakdown of what happened to the young lady who was on the door, or knocking on the door of a top 10 run here up front. Let's see if there's going to be anything happening yet. I still think all 4 of them are happy to ride it out. Haven't watched how some of the other races today have gone, that you don't want to lose touch with the lead and you want to be as small of a group at the end as possible, because this track can pack up really quickly and you can get sent into the dirty sections of it really easily.
It's smart stuff from the top 4, and I'm sure the mechanics and team coaches are on the fence line, letting them know that the gap is remaining stagnant to Orioli and Ives. But I gotta say, Ives went purple last time by. He has a small toe on Orioli, but relatively by himself at the moment. So once he gets to the bumper of Orioli, he has a decision to make. Do you pass him, or do you work with him and maybe try to go out there and catch the top 4? At the pace they're at right now, I think it's in the cards to maybe make it happen. Another 2/10, Eden out of that lead.
Check out the front bumper on that Roto-Rooter Timmy Tech comp card of Cade Wolf here. We saw it with Caleb Gaffera, and it's easy to pick out here. All that vibration and movement out of the front fairing of
or to out there and get it overturned. We had a change for second. Francisco ahead of Myers, and with that, it brought that second group closer. Orioli and Ives working together. So Ives now answered my question. He has decided at this stage in the race, with still 10 to go, he's going to push Orioli to the front. No need to make a pass and ruin the momentum he has. This is going to help again. Francisco up to first. So move the Ryan Perry Motorsports Nitro Kart machine to P1. Maxwell's going to take it back. And here comes Orioli. Here comes Ives.
All right, they weren't racing earlier. They are now as the sun begins to shine here in Daytona Beach. And just like that, 1 half lap of movement. And 5th and 6th are well into frame. Cade Wolf is not giving up either there with Lawrence Perriman, with Paxton Romero. They might be able to join the fray. But
Klein, Maronario, and Liam Nachawati into the top 10.
What a run back forward for Liam. So now he's back to even from where he started. And they fight behind him here, side by side. Into turn number 1, Lawrence Perriman nearly back around Paxton Romero. How about Paxton here in the Bennick? Had rode at the back of that 3-pack here for a lot of this race. And now finds himself into the top 5, a spot on the podium for Paxton Romero in the 155, but he's still going to have to fight for it. Lots of racing left now as we follow along through the bus stop here with Perriman and then Cade Wolf in the 154. Your clarification on pushback penalties, it's 3 seconds for one side, 6 for the other. You get 1 appeal per race weekend, and that's it. I don't know if Cade's had to burn his 1 appeal or not, but if he would like to appeal the pushback penalty, he'll need, again, footage to prove his innocence, and it would reverse a 6-second penalty that would take him outside of the top 10 by a fraction right now. 5.5 seconds. Moving back maybe the 10th actually. No, 11th, right behind Nico Salazar. Still though, fighting for the lead and the win. Maxwell Macha, Jaden Francisco.
Laps are ticking down here for Orioli and Ives to make anything happen. Francisco put on a masterclass about what it takes to push. We just saw the signal. Macha looked back. Francisco says, look forward. You don't have to worry about me. Romero has to worry about Perriman as he's gotten through into 5th. A couple of laps remaining, just over 2 to go, I think 3 to go this time by for Maxwell Macha and Jaden Francisco. Orioli, this is a bit of a dilemma for the OKP driver because he'd love to have help from Parker Ives, but Ives right now slowing down towards the latter part of this race, not able to give Orioli the final push he needs. So Santi doing a great job to even stay within the lazy toe of the 130 of Francisco, but at this stage, he's not closing the gap at all compared to what he needs with a couple to go.
Another lap in the books here. Jaden Francisco points forward to Maxwell, to saying to keep going. 2 laps to go for Porter Wiesenfeld. And the gap back from these 2 drivers here. What a display they have put on of working together, but I don't think it's paying off because the duo behind are doing even better at it. 3rd and 4th right now for Santi Orioli and Parker Ives, closing into these 2 here. Francisco still on the tail of Macha, but that time by from 1.5 and 1.6 seconds a couple of laps ago down to 1.1. They ate into the gap a couple of hundredths over the last few laps, couple tenths, and then this lap it evened out. But now to the white flag, 1 to go. They're a bit far back. If they fight, they will be there. Final time.
How hard do you defend on the opening stages of the lap here if you're Maxwell Macha? There's our answer. Middle of the racetrack. Francisco high side. You have to worry about Orioli, even though it's not on their minds right now because they haven't really seen Santi all race long. But if you're Orioli, you're in a great spot here to take advantage of any mistakes that happen. Maxwell low, Francisco high. There's not really a crossover opportunity here. It's going to come down to turn 9, 10, and 11 for Mini Swift.
Here we go. Final time around for the Mini Swift drivers. Down the back straightaway, looking for the finish of this one. 22 laps to the line. It will be a close one and a big run at the line. Francisco steals it.
Never celebrate too early if you're Maxwell Macha, and unfortunately, that's going to be a hard-earned lesson for him with the help of Orioli and a big shove to the back of the 130. Jaden Francisco with a monster run out of 11 just beats Macha to the line. Orioli and Ives round out your top 4. Lawrence Perriman is going to round out your podium there for BJR. Romero, Klein, Wolf, Nashawati up to 9th. Nico Salazar, your top 10 for Orsilon.
Oh, what a crazy, crazy ending to that one. We'll absolutely need to take a look back at how he was able to pull it off. Maxwell Macha thought he had it. 19 thousandths of a second. Jaden Francisco, your race winner here in Mini Swift over the field. Oh, incredible finish to the Daytona Super GP here for the 8 to 12-year-olds. Macha, Orioli, Parker Ives, Lawrence Perriman ends up on the box. And right there, I think it can finally begin to set in as the race has come to a close. It is an amazing, amazing finish here, and Ryan Perry Motorsport, Nitro Kart, they can celebrate Jaden Francisco, US Pro Kart Series Daytona Super GP winner. And just as we got to see at the end of last year in Las Vegas, being in the scale line, so fun to watch the sportsmanship amongst these kids. Max had no idea. He thought he had it. Had no one alongside him, but what a run. What an absolutely monster run, and that last little leap in the seat. Jaden Francisco.
Oh, there's nothing worse than seeing the moment of realization for Maxwell Macha looking to his left and realizing he doesn't have it won.
Caleb, let's send it down to our mini Swift winner who stole it by 19 thousandths of a second.
Jaden, what an end to that race. Did you know you had it?
I try to over and under him and hope for the best.
How does it feel to win here at Daytona? I see how excited your team is here.
It means so much to me. And I'd like to thank RPM Road to Racing, Chip Ganassi Racing, and everyone who supports me.
Well, there you guys have it from Jaden Francisco, your winner here in Daytona. And the RPM team, I tell you what, Xander, they're fired up.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Car Class has done the hard work for you. We've travelled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Car Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines.
Cuthbertson through on Turney, Turney in the dirt.
Getting ready to go green for X30 Junior from Daytona. And here we are, ready for another one, kicking things off with the 125cc Junior Division Restricted. Teo Salamau, already one win on the day. He has looked incredible to this point. Let's see if he can't pull off another one here with Alexander Vanchev ready to bring the fight. Ashton Woon and Nathan Dupuis as well as they round that last turn. Out of the last turn, though, down the front straightaway. 25 laps on the board here for X30 Jr. And we are green. Great start here for Teo Salamao, but a good one as well for Alexander Vanchev as they race to the first corner.
Yeah, Woon's going to slot in line at P2. Where does Dupuis fall? He tried to make it 3 wide and ended up costing him. He's going to fall back behind Sarah Bradley there down in P6. That's Jose Shermer up into the top 5 as well. So it's Salamao, Woon, Vanchev, Edward Kennedy to 4th. Nate Dogg having to defend early from Comadeiros, Amarillo, and Iturriaga further back. I know speaking with Nate Dupuis this morning during the morning show, I said, listen, it looks like on the opening stage of the X30 heat race yesterday, you were having to defend. And he said, yeah, just couldn't get the kart to fire off the line. The tires weren't coming in as much, but the go-kart feels good in the late race. So if Nate can hold on, and at least for a top 6, top 7 position, it could look pretty good, but it looks like he's been shuffled back way outside the top 10. So something must have happened on the far end of the racetrack. It's Salamao, Vanchev, who got around Woon in turn 11, back to Edward Kennedy, your top 4, then it's an SCR 5 and 6.
25 laps, another long one here around Daytona International Speedway with plenty of time to be able to get this one sorted out here early just amongst the 22 drivers. Lots of room to spread them out and not have a packed up carnage-filled race. But that's if they want to play it that way. Teo Salamao and Alexander Vanchev, they have not been overly kind to each other throughout this weekend, Alex. These two can't seem to get quite on the same page.
Ooh.
And right now we're seeing it with more aggressive moves right off the rip.
That looked like what Salamao did to Vanchev in turn 11 yesterday in that third heat race. So these two are putting on a really good show for us, but I think a lot of this is because of who's behind who. And Vanchev wants to beat Salamao personally, I think, in this X30 Junior field, but all this fighting has made chaos erupt further back. This pack has blown up. It's gone from 4 to 7, and more are joining through. Dupuis fell back to 11th on the opening lap. He's back in the mix. Vanchev going low through 11 and exiting low as well, and this is no surprise. We're going to start to see some front bumpers get pushed in here. A lot of drivers using them, the driver in front of them as brakes. Vanchev low again. Salamao at some point is going to get frustrated. He moves Vanchev up the racetrack, but again, just defending the opening stages of the race. And I wonder if part of this is Vanchev defending from Salamao personally, or if part of it is because it is such a long main event, 25 laps. These opening stages, maybe for drivers that feel like they have pace later on, they drop the tire pressure so low that they just need to hold on as Amarillo goes way off the racetrack. And again, look at this. We're just going low all the way through the top 5. Around the outside goes Shermer on Sarah Bradley.
Oh, big run down to the bottom. Low side here for the field. And who's going to end up as a loser the most out of it? I would say back Medeiros maybe. So Alexander Vanchev now to the point over Teo Salamao, and behind him a huge changeup for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Still close though. 5 laps complete this time, 20 laps to go.
Yeah, just getting word, and no surprise, the 706 Alexander Vanchev given the black and white flag. So it doesn't mean really anything. It's a slap on the wrist, but it lets Vanchev know that they're watching him, right? I mean, obviously you got cameras on him, right? But the USPKS officials are watching him personally. They don't love the precedent that he's been setting for the rest of the field, but now it's worked out in his favor. Maybe you don't love the white line driving style, but for Vanchev, it's worked out. It's created a gap between himself and Salamao, and now we're starting to see the first bit of field spread. It's taken 6 laps to make it happen, but Vanchev over Salamao, Woon, Kennedy, that's really been the top 4 that we've seen throughout the heat races in this X30 Junior field. Bradley and Dupuis, 5th and 6th. So Dupuis fell back, like I mentioned earlier, to 11th, but because of Vanchez's defending and the pace that Nash Motorsports EOS machine has, he's back up into the top 6. That's going to help. Kennedy defending. Look at the run Dupuis has on the front straight. Can he do anything with it? No. Bradley goes low.
A little bit wide there for Edward Kennedy, though, out of turn number 1. Leaves him vulnerable here for turn 3. Looking low. Not going to happen from Sarah. Couldn't quite get by there now as Nathan Dupuis continues to look on. And check out the next group now forming here. They're going to race it up. Pull Medeiros to the inside on Jose Shermer. Tristan Murphy gets through. There's Sarah Valley Ben Abernathy. This is 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th here now, and back behind of William Kim and Hector Iturriaga.
Yeah, Iturriaga was inside the top 9, has been pushed back to 14th as Seravalli thought about a move there on the likes of Shermer, who continues to fall back. And again, it's the name of the game around this place is once you get backwards momentum, it's really tough to get back on the right track of things. So for Shermer, who was up into the top 5 at one point in this race, needs to get backed up to his teammate Sarah Bradley, who sits in 5th at the moment, trying to get back up to the bumper of Edward Kennedy. Look at this. How about Cole Medeiros? Inside and through on Katowski. Murphy thought about a move there, but Medeiros now starts to lead this train. And if for his sake, if Bradley and Dupuis start fighting, now he can be the one to take advantage. I mean, again, this is the next group. They're trying to get up to that top 5. As we see another move, Seravalli on Shermer. His backwards roll continues.
Both Seravalli and Ben Abernathy, though, definitely have those pushback bumpers deployed. So both of them.
And not lose too much time. That's why in the warm-up sessions this morning we saw lap times similar to what we saw in Friday afternoon qualifying. Good move from Salamau in 11 to get back through on the Speed Concepts Racing red speed of Ashton Woon, and now Salamau back on the charge over Alexander Vanchev, and I think Vanchev either dropped the tire or Salamau has a lot of pace because that gap was 0.6. Salamau back on the bumper of Vanchev, and again, low through 9. That's an awkward place to defend because now you're wide through the chicane, and look at the run that Salamau's going to get on the back straight here. It's not going to be a whole lot because Vanchev's going as low as possible. Big over-under here from Ashton Woon. He's going to go low, but Salamau chops it off. This is a 5-car train as Cole Medeiros is facing the wrong direction and back of the field. And wow, a bit of an interesting re-entry there, but all the drivers evade Medeiros. This top 5 is kicked off and continued to kick off for the first 10 laps of this one. I can't believe there's still 15 laps left in this race, Sander.
Yeah, just so much time left for all this to be sorted. It doesn't need to happen now. They don't need to be throwing all these haymakers at each other so early. But still, at the same point, credit to them that the fact that you can get all these spots when they're all packed up like this. You don't get by nearly as many go-karts as easily or as painlessly when they are spread apart. I think more than anything else, Alex, you're just seeing a lot of parity lap time-wise. I mean, 39.3s for the two up front. Yes, Alexander Vanchev and Teo Salamau are a little bit better, but that's partly because, I mean, that last couple of times around, 39.3s when they were earlier on. 39.1, best lap for Salamau, but with all of the battling, all the going off, all the dirtying the racetrack up, it's made everyone just be it again. That 80%, 70% driving under the limit, a lot more people can get to that if it's below the normal 100% or 95 you're supposed to drive at.
Well, if you're the KA Masters and X30 Pros watching this race, Alexander Vanchev might be showing you how to go get it done because every time he defends as Seravalli puts the bumper to Murphy and it costs him the most time, he's now facing the go-karts coming after him there in turn 5. Oh, and Murphy completely destroyed the left side radiator, dumping potentially fluids onto the racetrack here, Xander, as well.
Now as they rocket out of turn 14 and 15, look at this, yeah, they busted the radiator pipe. The radiator's leaking water down the backstretch out of Tristan Murphy. He's pulling in, he knows he's got an issue.
Yeah, but now what does that do to the racetrack? These drivers are already, they know how to navigate the dust. I mean, we know a little bit of water can get slippy for these guys, but they know what they're doing, and I wonder if Salamau's been caught out by something because he's lost ground slightly to Vanchev, and Woon's back on the mix as well. So, again, I'm always curious, and I love watching these 25-lap mains because this is the point of the race where it always starts to fan out. Chance now to at least get a podium, if not a win. Chance now to at least get a podium, if not a win in X30 Junior.
Just a couple of laps remaining here in this X30 Junior main event now with 4, Market 6 in the lead pack, battling it out. X30 Junior between Alexander Vanchev, already a KA Junior winner, and Teo Salamau, Ashton Woon, and Sarah Bradley. Last time by, up and over a second now from Salamau back to Vanchev, who got by Ashton Woon. They do not have a lot of time left. 2.5 laps to go here as the field continues to work its way around the circuit here at Daytona, and with just a couple of laps remaining.
Yeah, I mean, it looks as though Vanchev, at this point in the race, is starting to defend from Ashton Woon here. Theo Salamau, a second gap back to that next group, as you mentioned. Again, cross the stripe, it's another second. They're not really eating the lap time out of Theo Salamao. They're trying to work together a little bit, but Vanchev, again, not able to do too much. Woon and Bradley, that next group with Dupuis and Katowski. So that's going to be the fight. Dupuis versus Katowski for that final step on the podium, the fifth and final step. They're about a second back from Bradley. Now, don't be surprised if Vanchev starts to get a bit defensive for that second place spot. If he looks up ahead and feels like he doesn't have the pace at this point of the race to go after Salamao, and he knows second is the best he can do, he'll start to defend from Woon and Bradley. It'll bring Dupuis back. It'll bring Katowski back. Benham Abernathy has had a great run up to P7 as well in this one.
Only a moment or two left in this one here. Final time around for Theo Salamao. 1.3 seconds out in front of this field. And the Orsilon Racing driver has done everything flawlessly here in this X30 Junior main, trying to be the first driver with an opportunity.
What a race there, and I'm standing by here with
Media Center. We've got information on Discord as turn right there and go all the way to the end where the flag goes.
One heck of a battle here in KA Masters. Renato Yater-David was able to put one over on Martin Stone, just as you witnessed there a moment or two ago. And we got problems for Renato Yater's teammate. Scott Falcone has gone around down at turn number 1. But for Renato Yater, look at the gap he's put here. Alex, you and I were talking about it as we were getting back online. Issues there for another driver. That might be Flip Rodriguez, I think, in the 403 gone off. But with 2 laps to go, Renato Yater has his Orsilon crew right next to us, fired up, screaming, hooting, and hollering, because he has been going head-to-head with Martin Stone this entire way.
You can't say Orsilon doesn't have a good time at the racetrack. They're always yelling no matter what's going on. And for Martin Stone and for Renato Yater-David, they've been the class of the field all weekend long. But in this main event, Stone had the lead for 21 laps. And it was a constant dogfight of purple after purple between the 2 drivers. And it really took a lunge for Yater-David to make it stick. And he timed it right to put Martin Stone in the marbles and put him offline. It took him a lap to get back underway and under pace. And now with a second advantage with the white flag in the air, it looks good for the Orsilon driver. Behind this group, you have to go 8 seconds to see Skitchy Barnes on the Maranello in third. He's a driver that's, taken the weekend to really get back and used to the single speed side of things, but he would take and love a top 3 finish there. And Mundy Lawyer for Nash in 4th, as well as Klimek for OCD. So it's been a pretty awesome KA Masters race. It's been reshaped and regrouped throughout it all, but nobody has been quicker than Renato Yater-David all weekend long. We saw him do the engine change in heat number 3, charged from last to second. And while Martin Stone has closed the gap, it's not enough. Rounding turn 11, Renato Yater-David is going to point to the Orsilon crowd as they celebrate another race victory here. And Fabio's up on the wall there, celebrating as well as the rest of the team, and they're loving it. Hugs all around for Orsilon Racing. And for Martin Stone, a P2 finish, closed the gap by 2/10 in the final lap, but needed a couple more to really make anything happen there. Let's see. We see some handshakes. We probably will, because these Masters guys always have a lot of respect as Yater-David picks up the tire flag on the outside to make sure he can make some weight as well here as they head into the scale line. Skitchy Barnes in 3rd, Mundy Lawyer, and Klimek, your top 5 drivers. Van Estes 6th. Scott Falcone, we saw him spun around on the entrance of turn number 1. He regroups to P7. Joey Ledoux, Todd Shambo, Kevin Simonelli, Paul Matopoli, and Flip Rodriguez, your top 12, as Paul Afonte did not make it out there to start the race for Rocket Racing Company. So 12 drivers finished this one, but again, no one quicker than the guy who won the 425, Renato Yater-David.
So one more race remains here from Daytona. Pro X30 on deck here, but first, Caleb Biesca will get to give us a little bit of the inside of that Nash Motorsports KA Masters final. It was a great battle between these 2 drivers, 2 veterans, 2 at the top of their game, and 2 that headlined this weekend. Let's go down to you, Caleb, with our race winner.
Looking around with them, I said, you can't say no to me this time because you didn't want to talk after the warm-up. How was that race? You and Martin were going back and forth the entire time.
Yes, it's an amazing race with Stone. Stone is a good driver, so I'm so happy to win this race. And thank you, my team. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Stone. It's a clean race. It's so hard when you race to another drive. It's so good, but he's an amazing driver. Thank you.
Well, there you go from Renato Yater-David. Thank the team, and I guess Fabio was very happy after that one. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Caleb. Renato Yater-David, your race winner here in main event number 6, KA Masters. X30 Pro Senior on deck. Ryan Norberg and Paulie Massimino.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR, with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook.
Ready for your starting lineup here, folks, as we begin the outlap for Pro X30. One more race to go on the weekend here from Daytona International Speedway. The final one, 25 laps on the board for the Pro X30 Senior drivers as they round their way down the backstretch. And Ryan Norberg will lead us to green, hopefully this time on the first time by. And as we watch Paulie Massimino pull alongside him, the rest of the field will as well. We're ready one more time today. Green flag in the air. We are racing down at turn one with a very awkward start there, Alex.
I thought for a moment, look at this, Massimino, rear of Ryan Norberg, and it's cost him a lot of ground. Fortunate enough for Massimino, it didn't cave in the bumper at all and you know, hook on his tire, but getting aggressive early, elbows out for Massimino. Identical to the thousandths almost for Paulie Massimino and Ryan Norberg. The gap is 2.1 when they crossed the stripe last time. We're on lap 7. About to be on lap 8 of 25. A long race, 17 more laps to go after this one. Lap time wise, well, Norberg resets fast lap, and with that pass from Paulie, naturally, you're going to lose some time. Paulie lost 3/10 to Ryan Norberg. So at this stage in the race, what do you got? You got to give it everything if you're Paulie Massimino, if you're Brandon Jones Track Racing. We know last night after speaking to him, we asked him, you know, what made the difference from the first 2 heats to the third heat. He said, listen, I didn't have a whole lot to lose. We needed to find a 10th to Ryan Norberg, so we might as well throw it at the go-kart in heat number 3. They found the pace, and unfortunately, they replaced their pace with luck. So now they have bad luck. Get to P2. This group behind Meckerson is the closest. You have the likes of Rima Labai, Levi Sangera, and then you go back to the likes of Caden McQueen, Ryan Raffa, and Davin Roberts. Caden McQueen, you want to talk about a weekend to forget for the Energy Corsa Americas driver. It goes to Caden McQueen. Didn't finish the first 2 heat races, dealing with a right hand injury for him, but continuing to better that energy package, working on it. Recently got his maiden national race victory on the rock side of things. Wanted more this weekend here at the United States Pro Kart Series at Daytona, but there's only so much you can do when you're having damage control, Caleb. Top 7 maybe in the cards for Caden.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it best there, Alex. You look at the weekend Caden McQueen has had, it's definitely one to forget, but again, there's still a lot to learn, right? Across the national circuit, I think more often this year than not, we're going to go to various different racetracks. We're going to see different things. We're going to encounter different variables out there, and for Caden, it's been a good learning experience as well. I mean, I talk about learning. That guy has more experience than anybody else as Paulie finally gets ahead of Frankie Mossman. I mean, I was down there trackside looking at that start, and I mean, what a start by Paulie to take the fight to Ryan, and that's what you have to do, right? That's what you need to do to get yourself ahead of Ryan and to take control of the race, but unfortunately, it fell out of Paulie's hands. Luckily for him, Ryan Norberg, I mean, the confidence that he's had after the weekend he's had in KA, you can see it starting to translate over to X30.
I gotta say here, this is interesting. So when they cross the stripe this time by, what's the gap? It's still 2.7, so it's not really changing up front. Norberg's still lapping slightly quicker than Paulie, but Mossman, Massimino got around Mossman a couple laps ago. Mossman has now refound some pace on board that Kart Republic under JHDD, and on the last lap, right? They have a 2.5-second buffer to Jacob Kolar further back. He's too busy fighting with Bailiff and Neckerson to really be a factor in the top 3. So if you're Mossman, you might as well push Paulie up to the front and see what you can do. I mean, you have a 2.7-second gap to close. It's gonna take some really big heroics to make anything happen. There's Bailiff, there's Neckerson, Raheem Alabai, and Levi Singh. At this point, pace-wise, he's actually almost matching the pace of Caden McQueen on board that energy machine.
Yeah, you see Levi starting to come into his own here this weekend. Him and, you know, he was starting right behind Caden throughout the heat races, and again, just trying to work his way forward and make progress. For Raheem as well, you were lacking a little bit of pace due to your size and how much grip you were producing out there on the racetrack, and then he puts it inside of this. Davin Roberts, the rookie, spoke to his dad a little yesterday, and they said they had a lot of pace, but after the happy hour session, they had no idea where it went. But I mean, this is a weekend where you talked about, right? Davin always said, man, I watched these guys racing growing up. They were always the senior drivers, the veteran drivers, and that's where you kind of learn how to go around a racetrack and admiring those guys. And the fight's going to come. He's going to get there. And at only 13 years old, you know, he outgrew the junior class so quick, Alex. And he's been impressive this weekend, and one of the standouts to me, as well as Ramy Andretto's, who went up and over yesterday. got back in the kart and he was like, man, I was more surprised that I was okay yesterday than anything else. I feel perfectly fine. And again, you see Remy's out there running inside of the top 15 here.
Yeah, so too is both in KA and X30 on the first round of heats. Went to the backup stuff for the rest of the weekend, and from there the pace has not really been there for Ryan, just outside the top 10 there in 11th. I have to say, just highlighting how difficult this track is to put together. I was talking to Alan Isambard yesterday. He said, listen, it's not like it's that difficult of a racetrack to get right, but to get it right consistently is tough. It's 11 very tricky corners that have different characteristics, and normally you find yourself getting 9, 8 of them right, and 2 or 3 of them wrong. And that's what we're seeing lap time-wise. Norberg, 2 laps ago, lost half a second to Massimino. Pauly started closing the gap. The following lap, a 38.6 for Ryan, a 39.4 for Pauly. Again, with all the dust getting thrown on the racetrack, with the difference in grip, and the difference in setup, it makes it so hard to just go out there and actually bang out consistent lap times.
Yeah, indeed, right? And yesterday they were trading blows in that final heat race. Ryan and Pauly were 38.4s. You talk about qualifying times. I mean, Ryan was flying yesterday, and whenever he needed that extra tenth, he was able to get it, right? And that shows you that's the difference of consistency, of hitting your marks lap after lap. So whenever he needed it, he got it. And the same for Pauly, right? Whenever he needed that tenth, whenever he needed to go 2 tenths faster, he did. And it really showed in that last heat race, Alex.
You want to talk about driving 80%. Talk about driving 60%. I'm watching Ryan here. He was coasting into turn 1. He braked so earlier than you know what they were doing in qualifying and the heat races. He was coasting into the corner. His around the liner and not use up your left sides, but this is a veteran play from Ryan Norberg. You know that at this point in the race, you have such a large lead. The risk of mistakes are high around this place. And if somehow Pauly and Frankie find an extra maybe 3 gears at this point, okay, well now you have better tires in the latter half of this race. So for Ryan Norberg, taking it easy out there on cruise control for the 302 with 5 to go.
Yeah, his fastest lap was a 38.546. His last time around was a 38.715. So he's 2 tenths off his fastest. And again, that's just finding the temp when you need it, dialing it back just a little bit when you need to as well. And for Pauly, his fastest is 38.699. And this time around for Pauly, looks like a 38.740. So again, he's starting to bring it back in, but Ryan set a flyer last time around and still opening up that gap. Alex, I don't know if I agree with you too much on 60%. He said he's out there, he's not out there to play games, he's out there to win. And I think that's exactly how he's driving here today.
Yeah, but there's only so much. I mean, you're not going to drive 10-10 and you have a 4-second lead. And a guy that's won so much. I'd love to see what he says. I'll probably say yeah, but I think we all know he's not really pushing all that hard anymore. There's no reason to really use up anything, just on the off chance that these two guys can go out there and get back to your rear bumper. But I think at this point, this is as far as Pauly and Frankie will go up the order. So Massimino, it was a good comeback charge through the field. I mean, we saw him hook his his second. I thought with the pace that he showed and how easy it was to get through the field, he'd have something for Ryan. But this is shades of Norberg at his best, right? He's going out there, putting fast laps, but doing it consistently, not looking back, leading every race, every lap of the weekend here in X30 Pro. And at this point for Ryan,
season he had definitely, I would say, went through a lot, right? He had a couple of wins in hand with one of the biggest rivals and one of the biggest rivalries we've seen in the U.S. and stateside in quite some time. And I mean, for the years and years, I think 12 years that Ryan's been in the senior class, it's been all about him. His name's, he's been a household name since the day he got into it as well, starting to become one of the ones that people start to talk about. When you hit the racetrack, Vice Racing, only 2 karts under that tent here, and a family operation racing and here out of AMR Homestead, Florida, just a couple of hours down the road. Kolar's been really impressive, and again, this weekend they just couldn't really compete with the Cosmic and you know, the RPG team as well, who's been super dominant on the X30 Pro side.
Yeah, and then one kart back, Finnegan Bailiff has started to pull away from Reem Alibi, but this would be a great showing for Finn, who again hasn't driven an X30 package in a race weekend in over a year, and to go out there and round out the podium would be a really good performance for Trinity Karting Group and Burrell Art. But white flag in the air, let's dance. Pauly Massimino versus Frankie Mossman goes defensive into 1. Defensive slightly into 4, opens up for the corner, but blows the apex. They're going to go slightly side by side. Frankie bails out, and now we're going to have some fun here down the back straight, Caleb.
Yeah, Paulie going to the bottom of the racetrack, around the outside, looking Frankie to set up an over-under, and Ryan continue to rocket his way further and further away of these two young guns that are starting to become, I guess, some of the veterans in this field. But 12 years after his first race here, he wins again. Ryan Norberg, your winner in Daytona.
Side by side across the line, Massimino just eclipses Frankie Mossman, Kolar, Bailiff, Alibi, Caden McQueen to 7th, Neckerson to 8th, Levi Sangera, Davin Roberts on debut. Rounds out your top 10, Remy Andredos, Ryan Raffa, Aiden Marenko, Christian Blevins Jr., Brooke Shambo, Alex Feldstein. Here finish this one here at the pulling early. So a strong field here in X30 Pro, but it's headed by Ryan Norberg. 5 seconds ahead of the next closest driver. He wins the main event here at Daytona.
Yeah, so dominant for Ryan at the end of the weekend here. And 12 years since his last race here. Apologies there for that, but he's back on top here this weekend, and again, so dominant heading into the rest of the regular season. What a way to start for the 302, and we're going to be seeing him a whole lot more this year. And as well for Paulie, I mean, this weekend he definitely had a good showing, and Ryan was talking to us about his hands this weekend. He said, I don't know if I'm getting old or what it is, if I'm sick, my immune system's down, but my hands are definitely starting to hurt a whole lot more. And
potassium.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Maybe some bananas for Ryan Norberg later on. Well, we'll see, but congratulations to Mr. 9-time. Looking to make that 10 this year, and that's crazy. Double digits is definitely something of
that'd be nuts.
That's legendary.
That would
stuff.
be nuts.
That's
to go out there and get 10. You talk about the major form of motorsports, right? I mean, 7 seems to be the number, right? Lewis Hamilton, Jimmy Johnson. No one's been able to go out there and do more than what Ryan's on Mr. 9-time. So I guess you could almost say he's the winningest, most championship. You know, he holds the most championships, I think, in racing at this point, right? He's trying to go for 10 this year, like you mentioned. You see a little collaboration here with all the drivers further back, just maybe talking about wondering what they could have done to maybe go out there and get after Norberg. But I know for Paulie, his race started out well for 2 corners, and then corner number 3, hook of the bumper slightly at Norberg, and that's where at that point in the race, if you're Paulie Massimino, you know it makes your life a whole lot more difficult, and the best he could do was P2.
Yeah, I mean,